Have you ever wanted a second chance? Something in your life that happened, something that was done that you wish you could go back, that you wish you could undo, that you wish you could do again. Something that you regret. Because maybe it's a choice that haunts us, maybe it's a decision that was made, maybe it was words that was said, maybe it was a sin that was done. Things can weigh on our hearts and they can linger there, and it can cause us pain within, and we can wonder, are we ever going to be free of these weights, of these pains, of these sufferings? In the book of Acts today, the first reading, we hear how Peter is standing before the Sanhedrin. His life is at risk, but he's proclaiming the gospel of mercy so strongly without fear. He's proclaiming repentance and the forgiveness of sins and the need for the mercy of God. He's doing it without fear, willing to lay down his life before the Sanhedrin. And where does this come from? This came from experience. Peter is someone who experienced the mercy of God in an incredibly deep way, in a way that he isn't just standing up there speaking repentance and mercy, but he's experienced it himself. And that gives a new, different weight, different authority, different power to it. And so the gospel today is the story of this forgiveness, the story of this encounter with the mercy of God. That's what today's gospel is all about. And so in the gospel today, Peter is fishing. It says he went back and he began to fish. I am going fishing. And this might not sound like a big deal, but he hadn't been fishing for all of the years since the day that he was first called to follow Jesus. So Peter had been following Jesus for 3 years, and he gave up his nets. The day that Jesus came to him, the day that Jesus approached him, there was a miraculous catch of fish. Tons of fish were coming into the boat. And then Peter gets down on his knees and he says, "Depart from me, Lord, I'm a sinful man." And then Jesus says to him in reply, "From now on, you will be catching men." And from that day forward, Peter laid down his nets and followed Jesus. And so why is he fishing again? The resurrection just happened, the crucifixion, the resurrection, and Peter, he heard about the other disciples encountering Jesus, but he goes back and he starts his life of fishing again. And the reason why is probably because he has lost hope, because he feels that he has failed in a way that is unredeemable, in a way that he has messed up. He feels like he blew it. He feels like Jesus is done with him, and all the promises that Jesus made to him about the keys, about the mission, about all the things coming in the future, it's all done because he failed. And he probably thinks, I am not good enough, and Jesus is going to pick someone else. He has to pick someone else. But then Jesus meets them on a beach. And again, there's that great catch of fish. There's 150 large fish, and they are encountering Jesus. And Jesus is standing there with a charcoal fire. And that's an interesting detail. That charcoal fire, that word only comes up one other time in all of the Gospels. And the one other time is at the night of Peter's failure. The night that Peter failed, the night of the Last Supper on Holy Thursday. Peter is out, he's by that charcoal fire, and people are coming to him. 3 times they ask him, "Do you know this man? Do you know this man? Do you know this man?" And each time Peter denies it. "No, I don't know this man. I don't know this man." And then I recently learned that the last time that he says it with a curse, like, "May God damn me if I know the man." And so he's like, "No, I do not know him." And so that fire, that charcoal fire, is a symbol of the deepest humiliation, the deepest shame in Peter's life. The event that Peter regrets the most, the thing that makes him lose hope. And so now Jesus, he builds a second charcoal fire on the shore. Why does he do that? He does that because he wants to go back to the place of greatest pain in Peter's life. Because he is not afraid of Peter's failure. He's not afraid of his sin, of his mistake, of his brokenness. Jesus does not avoid it, but he recreates it. He makes it again. And Jesus takes him back to that place of deepest pain. And then after the breakfast, Jesus has that conversation with Peter. And you can imagine the tension within Peter. What's he going to say? This is the time he's going to condemn me. He's going to be just to me, give me what I deserve. And so what happens is Jesus turns to Peter and he says to him, "Simon," he doesn't even use his first name, his nickname that he gave him. He says, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Ooh, that's exactly what Peter was expecting. That feeling, that ow, that hurts. And so in Greek, it's actually a little bit deeper than that. For some reason in the English language, we only have one word for love, but in Greek, they understand for such a complex word, there's different levels to it. So in the Greek, it says, Jesus asked him, "Do you agape me? Do you love me with a divine, just like a self-sacrificial love?" And Peter responds, "Lord, you know that I phileo you, that I love you as a friend. You know that I love you as a friend." And then he asks him again, "Do you agape me?" Yes, Lord, I love you as a friend. I phileo you. And then he asks him a last time. He says, "Peter, do you phileo me?" And then Peter says, "Yes, Lord, you know that I phileo you." He's grieved, he feels the pain. And this shows that Jesus is meeting Peter where he's at. Not where he wants him or he expects him to be, but he lowers himself and he meets him where he is. And that's what God does for us in our brokenness. He meets us where we are. He meets us where we are, but he calls us higher. He calls us to be free, to live the abundance of life. But because he wants the best for us, he doesn't want us to sit and dwell within our sin, which only blocks his grace, blocks us from fullness of life. But he meets us where we are, even in our sin. And so in our own lives, what is our charcoal fire? Maybe there's a moment in your life, maybe there's a moment that you regret, a time, a decision, an action, a word, something that you wish you could take back. Whatever that charcoal fire is for you, Jesus wants to go there. He wants to enter into that place with you, not to condemn you, but to free you, to heal you, to set you free. And it's by recreating that pain, by entering into it with God, that God is able to tell you the words of mercy, the words of forgiveness. Because his forgiveness is not generic. It's not just for everyone and anyone. You know, it's like, it's not a generic God's mercy, but it's personal. It's real. It's each and every single one of us. And we all have it. And so don't be afraid to let God into those dark places in our hearts, the dark places of pain, the places we wish we didn't have. And Extreme Faith Camp, when I was a camper there all those years ago, one of my favorite songs they would always sing is Christ is Risen. And in that song, it says, "Let no one caught in sin remain inside the lie of inward shame, but fix his eyes upon the cross and run to him who showed great love." This is what we're invited to not live in inward shame, but to fix our eyes on the cross, the love, the mercy of God, and to run to him, to commit our lives even more to him, to be free. So how do we do that? We go to confession. If you haven't been to confession, even after Easter and stuff, don't be afraid. Don't let those weights hold you down anymore. Encounter Jesus with the charcoal fire, lay it before him, and he will hear the words of mercy, be forgiven, be freed. And then if you've already gone to confession, but you still have those feelings, be vulnerable with God. You know, don't be afraid to go to those places with him. Let him in. Be vulnerable with God. Because with God, it's the same with any other relationship. The more vulnerable we are, the closer we become. And so let's continue to open up to him those places of pain in our lives so that the Lord will be able to keep setting us free.